name is Andrew Barnes. I'm a property developer in Maritzburg. My start in this industry and where I came from, I grew up as a farm boy in and around Underberg, and moved to Maritzburg for high school, and after 20 or 30 years never really left. I didn't have marks to go to varsity, but attended national service or the army, and got into conservation. And after a year or two, realized that I enjoyed people, and because animals don't speak, I found my way into real estate by absolute coincidence. I bumped into a gentleman that told me a story about someone who had just bought a pair of shoes for 400 Rand, and I thought, goodness, if I can earn 400 Rand out of this business, I'm in. So I started selling houses, and I worked really, really hard at it. I then as a young estate agent, got a mandate to start selling houses for Transnet. My wife and I walked the streets of Ladysmith for a number of months and sold railway houses. With that, I earned 70,000 Rand. I then took that money, and by absolute coincidence, I managed to get a mandate to sell a lot of bank repossessed houses with ABSA. They approached me and said, could I auction them? Of course, I said, absolutely, I can definitely auction houses, not knowing how to even start an auction. But I had 70,000 Rand in the bank, and I spent 70,000 Rand on advertising, and I worked really, really hard, and I was lucky enough to sell virtually all the houses before the day of the auction, because I didn't know how to run the auction. So it was a success. I earned 200,000 Rand out of that, and I took 200,000 Rand and I bought a house. And I bought that house, and I fixed it, and I sold it, and I then took that money and I bought a block of flats, and then I refurbished that block of flats and worked really hard. And 20 or 30 years later, I've probably done the same thing, but they are considered more sums of money, and I built shopping centres, and pretty much stayed in and around Maritzburg. So that's my story, where I've come from, and how I pretty much got to where I am today. My first job, as I said a bit earlier, I thought I wanted to go into conservation. So when I left the army, I actually ran anti-poach units on game reserves, and that's what I thought, because that's what I thought I wanted to do, until I realised that it was quite a lonely life, and I didn't love the outdoors as much. I do enjoy them. I didn't love the outdoors quite as much as what the loneliness would require. So I then stumbled across the state agency, and not quite knowing, like a lot of us as young people, what to do, started selling houses, and this is where I ended up. So I'm the owner and chief executive of Barnes Properties, which is a property development company domiciled and pretty much running in Maritzburg in the Midlands. Yeah, I think the why is, I think there's very few people in life that know exactly what they want to do. I think you get a few people that say, I want to be a doctor, or I want to save the world, but I think there's very few of those people, and I was one of those people. So what is the why? I think that I never had any sort of godly or divine intervention that this is what I wanted to do and this is how I'm going to save the world. I think for me, it was a case of taking hold of something, learning something new, and then working really, really hard and getting some success behind me, which I think is so important for anybody wanting to move forward, and enjoying the achievement that success delivered. And I think almost like a marathon runner, I think that if you can learn to enjoy the training in life, the racing becomes the easy and fun part. So I think that I've picked up some skills over the years, and together with just positive view on life, because I believe I am a positive person. My why is probably to apply myself to do the very, very best that I can do to take hold of each day, not be scared to face problems head on. And if I can help and encourage people around me and create something new, then that's what I want to do. So I think the why is about pushing the boundaries, and whatever those might be, for no other reason that you can push them because you can. And then at the same time, if you can help people, because life takes a team, then that's what I would like to, what I try and strive for each day. I think life is challenging, and I think that life is full of constant little accomplishments every day. I don't think one must ever undermine that. And I don't think it's ever one thing. And as I said, I think that courage is being scared and still going out there and doing it. But if I was to think about what I've done, what I've accomplished, I think it's probably been out of the workplace. I've climbed 4 of the 7 highest mountains in the world. I got when I climbed Denali, that was cold. In Alaska, that was like minus 35, and living in those conditions was something else. I once ran the Comrades, and the next day I jumped onto a bicycle and raced the Freedom Challenge 2,500 k's across the country, mountain bike, and then got to Paarl and the day before and paddled the 250 k's to the Berg River Canoe Marathon. That was quite hard work, so that was probably, I'm quite proud of that. That was a 4 months work, and I quite enjoyed that. But having done sort of those kinds of sporting achievements around the world, I think that also just pitching up the work every day and striving for tomorrow is an achievement. Yeah. The best advice I've probably received over the last 30 years, my father said, love people for where they are at in life. And I think that's important. Don't try and turn a bookkeeper into an accountant. It's probably just a very good bookkeeper. Love a person for where they're at. He also said, look for the good in people. Everybody's got good. And continuously look for that good. That means you need to trust people. Sometimes you get it wrong, but 9 times out of 10 you'll be pleasantly surprised. I had a business partner that said to me years ago, be careful about believing your own bull dust. And us as entrepreneurs, we need great belief in ourselves, because no one else will believe in you when you've got this embryonic idea. No banker's going to believe you. But be careful. Be careful you don't get carried away. and believe your own fairy tale story. Keep yourself grounded. The banker friend of mine said to me, remember, the bank never loses. And that was also sound advice. That was sound advice. And I think probably the last advice I got was from a business partner that said, time is a great healer. I think it's a great healer with a lot of life. But be patient, be disciplined and be patient, and give it time. So that's probably the advice that I've received, that I have worked with over the last 30 years. So my biggest challenge, and again, as I said a little bit earlier, I don't think that there's ever one single challenge. I think life is a challenge. I think pitching up every day and doing your best is a challenge. I think engaging with people and keeping your head is a challenge. And you can't do that solely on your own. You need good people, partners, family, friends, business associates, employees around you. So I think that is a challenge, and that needs constant work. I think that you've got to be kind to yourself, and you've got to look after yourself first, because if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after other people. It doesn't mean you need to be greedy and selfish, but I think that's important. I think that my biggest challenge, and how did I deal with it? So again, it's probably out of the business realm again. I once climbed the highest mountain in Russia, Mount Elbrus, and got caught on a crevasse field. And after about 5 or 6 hours, we didn't think we were going to make it. And turned to a friend of mine, and we agreed that we didn't think we were going to make it. It was too cold, and we were in a whiteout, and the odds were stacked against us. We made a decision that at 4 o'clock we were going to leopard crawl. We thought the right place to get to was about 400 meters to our right. We knew if we stayed, we would die, because it was too cold, we wouldn't make it through the night. We knew that if we leopard crawled over the crevasse field, there was the possibility that we would fall through the ice. And if you fall into a crevasse, you won't make it. The interesting thing is, at 3:45, a Russian rescue team popped their head over the edge of the ice and found us. So that was probably one of my biggest challenges. But again, that required discipline, it required trust in yourself. So how did I deal with that? You had to believe. We were lucky, and there is a lot of luck in life, but you've got to believe, and you've got to make decisive decisions to move forward. And sometimes you don't quite know what that outcome is going to be. We didn't know what that outcome was going to be at the end of the day, but we had to make a call, and we had to make a movement. Also, again, probably out of the office. I once was cycling in this race, this 2,500 K race across the country, and I got caught in a snowstorm, and it was probably it was probably, and it wasn't that cold, in terms of what I've been through, but so it was probably -7, -10, and I was completely wet and sort of running out of food. I'd run out of food and started to get hypothermic, and my bike broke, and I was in the middle of nowhere. I was in the middle of nowhere, and so you can't just collapse in a heap in life. So the last thing I wanted to do is fix this bike, and I knew that I could get to this farmhouse about 5 k's down the road if I could fix this bike and keep going. So I ate my last little bit of chocolate, because you can just feel that sugar going into you. It's quite incredible when your body is needing that kind of stuff. But I had to fix the bike. I had to deal with the problem, and I think that's how a lot of I've sort of addressed my life, is that you've got to face problems head on, and sometimes they're physical and sometimes they're emotional, but the problem needs to be dealt with. So I had to deal with it. There was no option. If I stayed there, I was in trouble. And eventually I did get it fixed, etc. I managed to sort myself out, and I got to the other side and managed to sort myself out. But I think the answer to your question with regards to challenges in life, don't put your head in the sand. Pick your head up and deal with it. And that's probably the most important. And actually, whether you like it or not, there's a bit of luck in life that is quite important from time to time as well. I think if to keep a team motivated, you need to be motivated yourself first. People follow normal people, people follow genuine people. That means that you need to do whatever you must be prepared to do whatever you ask your staff to do. You need to be caring, you need to listen. You need to truly be able to listen to people, and sometimes listen to what they're saying, but probably more important, listen to what they're not saying. And if you are absolute in wanting the best for people, aligned with what the business outcomes need to be, you will quite easily be able to keep them motivated, because you have the interests at heart aligned with what the business requires, and that in turn is just a complete circle. You'll be motivated, which will keep them motivated, and having a bunch of motivated people around you is just the most fantastic recipe, and you will in turn keep yourself motivated. I think that I'm inspired by normal people that have created something out of nothing, people that have taken chances, grit and determination. You don't just win the comrades by pitching up on the day or having a fancy pair of shoes whilst you're sleeping at 4 o'clock every morning. That man or lady has been out there running and training, and whilst you're enjoying a glass of wine, they've been drinking sparkling water. I admire people that have quietly and humbly got on with it, and in the dead of night, when nobody can see or there's no witness or crowd to cheer them on, they've got on and done it. And I think there's a lot of unsung heroes in life like that. So I think you've got to take, I think you've not got to, I think there's a massive amount that you can learn in life from normal people. Of course, you do have business or sporting icons that you aspire to, And I think those are the easy ones. The important ones are normality that is around you every day. I think my vision for business in KZN over the next 5 years, I don't think there's any lightning bolt out of the sky. I don't think there is a doomsday, the beginning of Armageddon. I think that quite simply, it will be more of yesterday. I think that my vision is that you have a changing of the guard, and you have a changing environment where you have different people coming into different positions. And I think the value in business is people. And I think, we live in the most fantastic country. This is not a homogenic Scandinavian country where everybody's the same. We've got 11 different languages. Everybody's different. And I think the trick or the magic in life when you're working with people is, as I said about listening to people, is to understand people, understand different cultures, truly try and understand people, and then also have the humility to realize maybe you don't understand people properly and recognize that so that you can do a better job. But I think my vision is that you've got a changing population dynamic. You've got a mass of people that are being better educated, etc., and more people coming into the economy. And you've got this massive will by people to learn. There's a massive under-delivery by the Department of Education and various parastatals, etc. And I think there's always an opportunity for business there to work with people and also delivering goods and services. But most importantly, I think that we will continue to build shopping centers because everybody needs a good convenience center. And I think that front end type business we will continue to do and do well. I think the concern, or maybe the jury's out about concern, but I think that the interesting point will be 20 years from now, these assets and these asset classes that we've invested in this geography, will there be institutional money to invest in them? Because you actually need big institutional money which follows positive sentiment, positive leadership, service delivery to come in and invest, because capital is just like water, it follows the easiest path. And if we don't have those things, institutional money won't come. But I think that again, like those out of the office experiences I spoke of earlier, I think you've also got to trust in life that actually, and I'm not saying you must gaze into a crystal ball, and be wide awake and be real and keep yourself grounded. But I think that you've got to trust that in time, South Africa will in fact get itself together, and KZN will in fact do better. But we do have a growing economy. We do have a growing population that are looking for goods and services. And people like us will continue to work hard constantly. And I think we'll be able to deliver our product. Because if you can deliver, there will be people to take up your energy. And I think that we could probably do better in other countries, but this is where we are. And I'm very comfortable with continuing to invest the money that I do in our geography over the next while. I think that if I was to think of a motto, I would say, be your best, your absolute best. every single day, and you know in your heart. My mum used to say, there's a little voice inside your head there, and you've got to listen to it. And you know when you're doing your best and when you're not. You know when you can do better. So listen to that. Costs absolutely nothing to smile. Costs nothing to be nice. It costs nothing to help. So I think though, and I think, also there's always someone worse off than you. Consider yourself lucky. Have an attitude of gratitude. So that's sort of the kind of principles that I wake up to each morning. And guess what? Every morning when you put your feet on the floor, you're unemployed. Get out there and make it happen.